Hello, everyone, and welcome to this video. So, today's video is a part of a client session where the client asked quite a few questions to Vagrein about the material called Course in Miracles, which is a channeled material that was first published in 1976 and has been studied all around the world. It's a very popular text. I do have the book here because I was lucky enough to be gifted it on my 40th birthday party, which is actually exactly around the same time that I started channeling. But I haven't actually ever read it. I did listen to it on YouTube while sleeping twice. I think it's something like 40 hours worth of videos that I tend to sleep. I listen to audiobooks when I'm sleeping and I listen to them at like double speed and try to allow that to process into my system via osmosis. But I haven't actually read the book yet. It's something that eventually I would hope to get around to. But the client does ask quite a few questions about her understanding about the material that's in the Course of Miracles to Vagrian. And I felt like for anyone else who was curious, this is an important conversation to listen into. I've edited the session to be able to share this with you and to especially address the emotional aspects of being human that are not necessarily addressed in the course. But before we dive in, I want to remind you that I have a live Vagrian session on May 2nd that you're all invited to. I'd love for you to join. And you can get tickets for that here, okay, at this link. And there's also the link in the description of this video. So go ahead and grab those tickets at 9 p.m. Central European summertime. And yeah, that's it. That's all I have to share. So let's dive into this amazing channeled conversation about A Course in Miracles. Enjoy.
Are you familiar with this piece of channeled work called A Course in Miracles?
Indeed, yes.
Okay. I've been studying the course for more than 35 years and also lead two study groups of others who are interested in learning about it. So what, if anything, in your perception, needs correction or fine-tuning within the content of the course?
Nothing could require fine tuning or correction in the content of the course because the course is created or has been created by those who would need to hear the information in that manner. You will find, and you have found in your teaching or sharing of this course material with beings, that there are periods in the journey of the beings with whom you are sharing where the information resonates more, and perhaps later on it resonates less, or it evolves in its resonance to match where they are in their journey. That particular work or body of works is configured in a specific way to reach a specific audience that would hear it. In that, yes, there are some potentials for criticism of those contents, in that it is not perhaps generic enough for mainstream, but it is not created for mainstream. So the course itself is imperfection for what it is meant to stimulate, what it is meant to get started in the beings that it does impact. And it is very valid in that the underlying teachings beneath it are teachings of oneness, unity, and if followed according to how written, will aid in the being who can and is able to hear past the specific words used in that material, a opening of their consciousness towards a state of neutrality or non-judgment that will give them an opening towards a space of all that is.
Mm-hmm.
We are specifically referring to concepts of a what you would call religious or traditional or cultural or archetypal nature that are referenced in that work that cannot be heard by all beings in a neutral fashion, but for whom they are created, for the ears that can hear those words or can hear beyond what those words represent or signify without attaching dogma or religion or your human distortion of these messages. will have great benefit.
Yes. Yes. I've been surprised by some of the difficulties that some of the people in my study groups have with some of the topics.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, I do have a question with something that I struggled with for a couple of years while studying the course and sharing it, which is what the course says. And I'm curious about what you would share, what the course says about emotion. The course doesn't really deal that very much with emotion. And in some places almost seems to dismiss it. And that at the present time is not a primary challenge for me, but it was a very difficult challenge for me for about 2.5 years.
Yes, well, emotion is a touchy subject for you all. This is because you, as babies or children, have these energies moving through you, and they are perfectly natural and they are perfectly wanted and warranted and hold wealths of information for you. And you are then taught that they are not accepted, that they are not appropriate, that they are not invited into your experience, that you, in being an emotional being, are in some way flawed, and that emotions are something that must be contained and controlled. This is not the case. Emotions in a society that perhaps had been configured differently would have been understood to be what they are, which is energy that is giving you in all times information as to where you are based upon your desire to be on alignment with yourself. The only reason why emotions are so important and you give so much significance to them now in adulthood or as a part of being human, etc., is because of the repression that occurs when you are children. Because had that repression never occurred, emotion would be no different than the fact that your fingernails grow. You would not be concerned about a book that did not mention the growing of fingernails. It would not be a factor. But because you yourselves have made it into such an issue, then when it is omitted or not referenced by a book or a course or a entity or a situation or even yourselves as something that needs addressing, you have suspicion around this issue. But the work you are talking about assumes or makes the assumption that emotional balance will at some point through the study of the course be obtained outside of a necessity to address it directly, because there is absolutely nothing wrong with your emotions. Your emotions cannot be erroneous. The only thing that can be erroneous about emotions is how you deal with them and how you express them. And these errors only occur because of the repression that you have had around them. So anger is not bad. Sadness is not bad. Desire and passion is not bad. There are no bad emotions. There are no bad ways of feeling emotions, but you have become very skilled at repressing them. So as your society in this now is also simultaneously learning that you are emotional beings, fears arise when emotion arises. And even if that emotion is joy, you will find it is very difficult to find one who can be in their own joy fully without fear.
Yes, that's true.
So we understand that the concern about almost ignoring emotions is part of your studies. And we too would say that for the most part, the emotion itself, the energy of it, needs no attention, in that you do not need to change anything when an emotion arises. There is nothing to change. If you are sad, you are sad. If you are angry, you are angry. What does need to be done when an emotion arises is understand the message that it is bringing you as your ally and friend.
Yes. That's basically the conclusion that I reached after 2.5 years of struggle.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And so there wasn't a particular reason. I think I hear you saying there wasn't a particular reason, that there wasn't much about emotion included in A Course in Miracles. Is that correct?
No, there is no particular reason in the same way. There's no particular reason to mention the rate at which your epidermis changes itself or
Okay.
the speed at which your eyes dilate when affected by light. It was not a part of the course because it was not necessary to include that as something to focus on. In fact, not focusing on it led you specifically and many others to have the questions of, okay, this course is great, but what about being human? And
Yeah.
after you had that own pondering on your own for some time, you realized that it did not mean that you had to be a robot or to not have emotions, but that you had to integrate emotions as a fundamental part of being human and not a problem.
Right. Okay, good. That's helpful.
So I really hope you enjoyed that conversation. It was eye opening for me. It has sparked my curiosity about the material in A Course of Miracles. And it does clarify quite a few things about that material. I also would love for you to join us on May 2nd. That's next week at a live Vagrein event where you can ask any of your own questions. You can either ask them personally and vocally with Vagrein, or you can type them into the chat. And Tegan, who will be helping me out again this time, will read them out for you. So you can participate in both of those ways. Or if you're not able to make the live event, the video will be available for purchase afterwards. And to anyone who participates in the event in person, you get a free complimentary copy of that video. Um, it's been a pleasure, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.